This Z-Files is at the First Baptist Church of Crestview to talk about history, 100 years of history of this church here in Crestview, and they're going to be celebrating up early in August, and we're going to tell you all about that, their 100th anniversary. I have Ida Faye Powell with us, and she is the historian for the church.
No, I'm not the historian. I'm the co-chairman. There are 4 of us who chair this committee, and I guess you'd probably say we are the 4 that have probably been members of this church the longest that are still active.
Okay, and who are the other people who helped you with this?
Brenda Lundy, Sharon Sasser, and Gail Faircloth.
Okay, and among the things you put together, we're going to, during the course of this video, if you're watching this on our video channel on YouTube or on my Facebook page, and you can see this. Otherwise, if you're hearing it on the radio, well, then that's where you want to go see all these good pictures of this history. We'll have photographs that we're going to show you. They put together all kinds of scrapbooks that we'll kind of let you know a little bit about. But they've got a great timeline, and we're going to kind of use this so we can tell the story of the growth of this church, and people may not realize how many other churches, and I didn't either till I saw this, how many other churches in the community really grew out of because of this church's first beginning.
Our timeline was put together by Dixie and Denise Irwin. Our 100th committee is made up of about 100 people that we broke down in different committees, and Dixie and Denise Irwin chaired the history part of the 100th anniversary, and they came up with the timeline that we'll be looking at today.
So, Ms. Powell, then when did things get started with the idea of organizing this church? Now, Crestview goes back to the 1880s, 1890s, when this was Walton County, and it was Crestview Station, as the railroaders called it. And then we got Okaloosa County, and then, of course, Crestview then became an official city in Okaloosa County. Originally, it was, I guess, a town. So where in that early era were the beginnings of this church?
Well, in 1889, Milligan Baptist Church decided there needed to be a Baptist group in Crestview. So they started us as a mission. This is a picture of the Milligan Baptist Church and the way it looked when they started the mission in Crestview. I don't know if this is still on Old River Road where it sits today, but this is the way the Baptist Church in Milligan looked when they started us as a mission. 1889, yeah, that church met twice a month in the Masonic Lodge building on Ferdon Boulevard.
Okay.
They struggled, and in 1906, that church disbanded. But in 1917, about 19 people came back together to organize First Baptist Church. Some of the names of the charter members, some older citizens of Crestview will recognize. It was Mr. and Mrs. T.H. Edney, Dr. E.A. Fleming, Mr. and Mrs. Maples, Mr. Clint Richburg, and Mr. Lance Richburg were in the charter members of First Baptist Church. So August the 8th, 1917, the Baptist Church was started, and it was called Baptist Tabernacle. And it was at 152 Hickory Avenue, which is very close to where we are today.
Yeah, we finally figured it out with the little Google map, and it's right at the corner of Hickory and Maples. Now, I'm assuming that was the Mr. Maples, who was the father of Okaloosa County, who was one of your beginning members, too.
That building in 1917 had sawdust for the flooring. It had no walls or no partitions. It had the sawdust floor, the post for the sides, and the roof. They had a problem with goats wandering through all week long, and those goats would leave fleas and an odor. So on Sunday morning, when they came for services, they had to try to take care of the odor and of the fleas.
Everything else the goats left behind. Okay.
Then in 1920, we sold that property and bought over on Main Street, and that is where Badcock is today. And we were still known as Baptist Tabernacle, or Crestview Baptist Church, we were called then. They were trying to raise money to build a new sanctuary. They had raised $2,000, so they bought the cement to begin, and the Depression hit. So they had to sell the cement. They sold it to the city of Crestview. The city of Crestview used that cement to pour the sidewalks from the courthouse to the L&N depot. However, the city of Crestview became in a financial bind and never paid the $2,000. So I guess the Crestview Baptist Church donated the cement for those sidewalks that go from the courthouse to where the L&N depot was down at the railroad track. Then in 1945, sold the property and bought 10 lots on Hickory Street, where we are now located today. And worked, 2 of the buildings that were over on Main Street were moved over here. There's pictures of those and pictures on the table. And began there then building the sanctuary over on Cedar. And then from there it was renovated, and then we came to the new one. Also, back in the 1932, money was scarce, but the Baptist Children's Home in Acadia was asking for funds. Well, Crestview Baptist Church did not have the money to send, but what they did send was 1,600 pounds of sweet potatoes, 460 pounds of shell corn, and 86 gallons of syrup to help out the Baptist Children's Home there in Arcadia.
Now, there is a big event coming up, and that's what this is really all about, to remind you, if you're in the community, that you're welcome to take part in that. And we'll have Brother Kilgore come on here at the end of our program and talk about it as well. But that is open to, of course, any of the past members, families.
August the 12th and 13th. It's open to the public.
I think the official birthday was the 8th, wasn't it?
Yes, yes. So we went the closest to the 8th
to get a weekend.
We could get, yes, to get a weekend.
Okay. Well, we've just done a little bit now of getting up into the 40s, so, and along the way, the name changed. Tell us about that.
Well, we started out on Hickory as the Baptist Tabernacle. When we moved to Main Street, we were Crestview Baptist Church. But in the early 1940s, Mrs. O.H. Thomason made a motion that our name be changed to First Baptist Church, Crestview. Now, Ms. Thomason was a lady that when she spoke, you listened. Her husband owned O.H. Thomason Building Supply, there where Till and Waters sits today. Their house was located on 90 West on the empty lot in front of the skating rink, and I think there's an ice trailer there today.
Yeah, sure.
Mrs. Thomason would come out of her driveway and never stop to get on Highway 90. Of course, you got to know there wasn't the traffic in the 1940s that there is today.
Sure.
There was not a red light at 85 and 90. When they put the red light there, she refused to stop. She said, people know I go by here at the same time every day. Okay. So Mrs. O.H. Thomason was a force to be reckoned with, and when she made that motion, it passed unanimously. Okay. And that's how in the 1940s we became the First Baptist Church of Crestview, okay, from a motion from Mrs. Thomason.
Now I see here of 1947, a mission church which became Southside Baptist Church.
Yes, there were some men in our church who said there needs to be a Baptist church on the south side of town. So they went over and started the Southside Mission, which later became Southside Baptist Church, which is now Central Baptist Church today.
So that would have been the south side of town back then.
Yes, yes. And then in the 1950s, we had 1951, we had a lady in our church, Claudia Davis, who said, we need to do something in the Steele area. Now, that's the area off of Industrial where the pecan plant was. Okay. And so we had a group of young people who went over on Sunday afternoons and did a Bible school there under the trees at the plant. When weather became so cold, there was a lady who offered to go into her home. And from that, we started Evelina Baptist Church. And when they started, we helped them to furnish their church by giving them things.
So then over these years, not only was the First Baptist Church growing, you were also growing other churches within the Crestview area.
In areas where there was not a church located. In 1957, some people in our church said, we need a Baptist church up Highway 85 North. So they purchased a piece of land where Woodlawn Baptist Church sits today. All that was on that piece of land at that time was a log house. So they held Sunday school in the log house, on the porch of the log house, in cars, and under the trees. And then in 1957, Woodlawn became a Baptist church, which began as a mission of First Baptist Church, Crestview. The only problem when you start missions, some of your congregation goes to start that and then stay and become members. So every time we started a mission, we lost some active workers within our church that went to get the new church started. That's a downsize of it, but then you look at the pros, and what it does is you start a church in that area, and it overweighs the losing your members.
I guess over these years, what would you say the First Baptist Church membership was in those in the 40s?
In the 40s, it was probably, I don't even know, it was 500.
Okay. And today?
Today we're up into the 18, 19. My mother and father moved here when I was 2 years old in 1946 from Bonifay, Florida. So I have been a part. The first thing they did was start coming to First Baptist Church. So I've been a part of First Baptist Church since 1946 and have seen the changes and the people that come and go. All of these ministers, when they come, I usually say, you came and you're going to leave, but I'll still be here when you leave. So after Woodlawn, in 1975, a group of people up in the Garden City area came and asked if we would start a mission in that area. So a committee went up and talked to the people there, and we started the Garden City Baptist Mission. And then in 1975, it became a church. Our facilities on Hickory, we were beginning in the 80s to grow, but our building was not growing. And so we moved to 2 church services in the 80s to accommodate our people. When Brother Alan, who's our pastor now, became our pastor, people were coming and leaving because they could not find a place to sit. So he said at that time, we need a larger sanctuary. So in 2006, we broke ground for our new sanctuary and the office and nursery area that we are in today. And then in 2008, we had our first services in our new church. Through these years, starting in, we've always been a church that gave and have made mission trips. 2 trips were made to Guyana in the 1980s that were Brother Fran had missionary friends in Guyana. And so our church went to Guyana to build churches. Twice they went. I went with a group of young people to Rapid City, South Dakota. We did a Bible school in an Indian church. And then we visited the poorest Indian reservation in the United States and played and sang songs and took those children things. There's been mission trips to New Mexico. So our church has not only been within these walls, but we've reached out to other countries and other states in the United States. We have 3 former pastors living. All 3 of them will be here that weekend. They are Andy Kay, Bill Kaufman, and Fran Picker. And Bill Kaufman will be preaching that Sunday. And then we have 9 other former, they were either ministers of music, minister of education, or youth directors that will be here. So that weekend we will have 12 former staff members and their wives here for the weekend.
And probably some kids.
Yes. Yeah. Well, most of their most of these have grandkids now.
Okay.
We have one that still has children. That's Wes Williamson, our children's director that just left and went to Dothan. And then our minister of music now, he has children, so they will be here with us.
And then something you've just accomplished here just in the last year or so is a beautiful display out here at the kind of the end of the street that was made for safety reasons, was closed off anyway, and can't really build anything. I think that's where there was once gas tanks or something underneath it. The old Hasty gas station was in that area.
See, at one time, Burger King, we were hoping Burger King's lease was going to run out. We'd heard they were going to sell. So we were hoping to get that whole area, but then they decided to keep their lease. So when we couldn't buy that piece of property, we bought that piece there. And Brother Alan went with our young people to Orlando to the Holy Land. And he saw this He is Risen display at the Holy Land in Orlando. And he came back with the idea, that's what we need to do with that piece of property. And everything that is out there, money was given. Money was given for the flagpole. Money was given for the letters. There wasn't money taken out of the church budget. All of it was donated by people in our church to put the He is Risen. And when you drive by there at night and it's lit up, it's very impressive, especially with the flags blowing.
So now we get down to, we're in 2017, and it's August. We're at that 100th anniversary time. What have you got planned for that weekend?
Well, on Saturday, August the 12th, we will have a reception in our old sanctuary, which is open to the public. This is Crestview's time to come and see the former ministers that you know, meet with them, talk with them, and it will just be a time to renew old friendships. Sunday the 13th, we have our morning service at 10:30. Dr. Bill Kaufman will be preaching, and at 12:30 we move to the community center for a dinner, and then a short program afterwards. And people are welcome to come and participate in either event. We hope former members will come back and join us for this day.
Maybe they're off with one of these other churches y'all started.
Yeah.
Now they can come back to the mother church, we'll say.
Yes, hope they will. These are the 2 buildings that we moved from Main Street onto Hickory when the 10 lots were bought here. And until the sanctuary was built, church was used in these buildings, and after the sanctuary was built, they used them for classrooms. At one time, Northwood School had to go on double session, and the 5th grades at Northwood were bused to use some of these rooms for 5th grades at that time when Northwood was overcrowded. This is how the inside of our sanctuary looked when we were located on Main Street, where Badcock is today. Much smaller facility, and this is one of the first weddings that was held. Don't know who they are because it doesn't give us a name. This is when our first sanctuary was under construction, and you can see on the back corner the 2 wooden buildings that we transferred here. In 1951, our sanctuary on Cedar Avenue was completed, and we were ready to move in it, and this is how it looked in 1951. In August of 2008, our new sanctuary was completed, and we moved in with our first church service, and this is the facility that we use today for our church services. Our old sanctuary is used for our children's activities on Sunday, and we still use it for receptions and different type things like that.
Now you've got quite a collection of scrapbooks that have been put together, like everybody has. Imagine it taking a couple hours to go through and talk about everything in there.
It would. Our history committee for the church has done an excellent job, and they just have scrapbook after scrapbook after scrapbook. This page shows some of the charter members of the church when it started. This is a 1952 picture, how the inside of our old sanctuary looked after it was completed and we had moved in. This was groundbreaking on 85 North for Woodlawn Baptist Church. You can see here the log house that they had a lot of their sessions in, and then this was the day that we broke ground for them to start building their sanctuary. This is Reverend Gene Watterson, who is our pastor in the 60s, and his family, Yvonne, Pam, and Jean Lee. He left here and went to North Carolina. This is a picture of the inside of our old sanctuary when he was here. After him came Carol Caldwell, who was here for several years, and it was while he was here that we stepped out and started the Garden City mission. Andy Kay followed Carol Caldwell. Andy came from Mississippi and went back to Mississippi. Andy will be with us that weekend. And after him came Reverend Bill Kaufman. We say about him, he was our pastor twice. He went to another church, and after 2 weeks he said, "This isn't where I need to be." So he called and said, "Can I come back?" And we said, "Definitely yes." So we say he was our pastor twice, and he is now down in the Sanford area. Fran Picker came then, and Fran Picker was pastor for 17 years. Here quite a while. Fran still lives here, is a member of our church, and does a lot of interim preaching in other churches. And then after Fran came Alan Kilgore, who is our pastor today, and who headed up the building of the new sanctuary.
Well, we've been through the scrapbooks and the pictures and the timeline story for those of you who are watching this on our Z-Files YouTube channel, and now you know the history from way back in the early 1900s, and really before the 1900s, as Crestview was first beginning as a little railroad village, and now we're up to the 100th event, and it's not very often that a pastor gets to celebrate a 100th anniversary of a church in their career.
That's right. I'm looking forward to it. It's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for me.
Reverend Kilgore, what's going to be happening that weekend, and why should the folks of the community, especially people who have been part of the church and, as we've learned, have gone off to have open missions which became other churches in the community, should be wanting to do that weekend?
Well, we would love to invite the entire community. Ms. Ida Faye and her committee have worked very hard to make this a wonderful, wonderful celebration. We look forward to all of our former staff members that are coming back, as well as former members that are going to be coming back. It's going to be a wonderful celebration on that Sunday, and we'd love for as many who live in the community to come and be a part of this, because you don't get to do this but one time. Your 100th anniversary only comes one time. Right.
And then right across the street, for a long time, you've been the biggest structure, you might say, in this part of the downtown area. I guess there's a little bit bigger one, that's 60,000 square foot. Does that get to your square footage, or close to it, or right near it?
I don't know how big ours is compared to that one, but I love the message that comes out of this structure.
Sure. And that's going to be just part of what more downtown Crestview's future.
Right. We're just a part of all that Crestview's a part of, and all that Crestview's doing and growing. And we're growing. A lot of churches are growing in our community, and we love the Lord. The other churches love the Lord, and we're just trying to do what God tells us to do in our part of Crestview.
And you look forward to a big weekend coming up here in August.
Oh, yes, sir. But it's been going on for a while now. A lot of the preparation, a lot of hard work has gone in. This committee has done a tremendous job at putting this together. And if people will come, they will enjoy themselves, have a great time together, and we'll serve the Lord together, and look forward to some good singing and some good preaching from some of the former members that will be coming back.